fascinating, I think, to look back at the history. In the early stages of the settlement of Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan was actually known as Windmill City, USA, because there were several manufacturers of those kind of water pumping windmills over in the Kalamazoo area. So our economy really started as a renewable energy economy.
The true pioneer of Michigan wind energy is a man named Rich Vanderveen. He and his company erected the very, very first 2 wind turbines in Michigan, which you can see rising gracefully and majestically against the sky as you go across the Mackinac Bridge or return from Mackinac Island.
The idea was, why don't we have clean, new power produced by entrepreneurs who take the risk, who put up their own money, work with local communities, work with utilities, work with local, state, and federal governments to create new, clean power for America.
Harnessing the natural power of wind is a clean and quiet way to produce electricity for all of our state's needs. Michiganders have exploited the wind's power since our earliest settlers. Now, the time has come to increase our use of this vast resource. Michigan is now on the cusp of being a major producer of not just electricity, but also the parts and systems associated with wind energy production.
Right now, Michigan spends in the neighborhood of $10 billion on energy in money that flows right out of the state.
Will boost agricultural income, will boost communities' income. A 100 megawatt power plant will put more than $30 million into a local community over the next 20 years.
Internalizing those dollars in Michigan would have tremendous implications for Michigan's economy.
Michigan is the 14th best for wind availability, and to be able to convert that wind into usable energy.
And my office is working closely with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They've identified over 900 companies in Michigan that could make different components for wind turbines.
And many of these parts can be made by the same type of factories that used to make parts for the automotive industry.
The prediction is, as the governor has said in recent news conferences, that Michigan will gain 10,000 new manufacturing jobs. These are really good jobs.
A renewable portfolio standard is a legislative document stating that we are committed to using renewable energy resources in the future. This is a promise to our citizens and businesses that we are focused on renewable energy as a major source of our state's electricity.
We need legislation that almost forces the utilities to come onto our side, as I call it.
Our research has shown that the primary driver of wind industry development in the United States is the passage of a renewable portfolio standard.
Very few companies would want to create or open a manufacturing facility in a state that does not have a built-in market for their products. And 24 states currently have RPS legislation on their books. Michigan does not. Michigan is behind in this.
So we honestly believe that this time is now to pass a bill called the Michigan Renewable Portfolio Standard. It's a simple law. 25 states and the District of Columbia have the law. It simply requires that 10% of all of our power be new, ideally Michigan-based power by 2015.
Wind energy in Michigan will create thousands of new jobs while assuring a cleaner, more sustainable environment. Change is needed, however, from several directions before we can take advantage of this fortunate position.
Green in Michigan is going to come from Michigan. We're going to start eventually, very shortly, manufacturing our own green equipment. We're already the nation, if not the world's leader, in semiconductor production for solar cells.
Our whole existing infrastructure is built around cheap oil. And that's, of course, changing. We're almost up to $100 a barrel. And obviously climate change is a real concern, which relates to the use of fossil fuel.
The U.S. Department of Energy has a goal for the country to produce 20% of all of its electricity from wind energy by 2030. And they're just getting ready to publish that report. Michigan rises to the top among all the states. We're on the order of second or third for both the combination of wind energy potential and wind energy component manufacturing.
I think the better the public becomes at feeling comfortable with renewables, the better the world is. I think you might find also that renewables may in fact lower energy costs. It certainly reduces environmental problems. So I think in the future, as we make these changes and as consumers become more comfortable with renewable energy, it'll be a win-win for them.
Are talking about increasing the amount of renewable power that they buy, but also doing all of the other things in terms of hybrid buses, hybrid cars, LEED certified buildings. That means leadership in environmental and engineering design. Requiring that buildings are cleaner, brighter, more energy efficient. Creating new jobs in a new economy based on a cleaner, brighter future. This is all fundamental to really transforming Michigan.
If we fail to act on the unique opportunity we have been given, the opportunity will pass us by. Other states will develop the ability to manufacture that which our state is already set up to create. Our addiction to foreign energy will cripple our ability to compete on a world scale, and the pollution we create every day now will damage the climate we live in and the air we breathe in the future. A full-scale commitment to wind energy is not the whole solution, but it is a major step in the right direction.
Said it's time to go. Those words struck deep in my heart. To lose a family farm is to lose all I know. And my father's fate and his mother's before is what I'd wished for my son, who lies still yet unborn. And all he could say is I'm sorry. Leave now while you can.